Hello everyone, welcome back. It's been a while. Today we're going to be talking about London. Now, I've been there a few times over the past few years, probably 3 or 4 times, specifically the centre of London, all the nice bits, And I'm just going to be talking through what we've done and what there is to do. It's not going to be as much of a tourism video like my others, it's just going to be more like picking out little bits of what we've done for anyone looking to go there. So I'll start off by talking about King's Cross and St Pancras station, two different train stations, and the main trains come into both, to be honest. We've ended up going into King's Cross and into St Pancras, so they're both like major train stations, but St Pancras has the Eurostar as well, where you can go to France and Europe basically through the underground tunnels under the English Channel. And then also in King's Cross station there is obviously the famous location for platform 9 3/4 from Harry Potter. There's even a trolley, which I don't know if I got a picture of it. I've not got many pictures of certain things, but you can have a picture there for your Instagram. I weren't too bothered about it because like, who's got time for that, you know what I mean? We normally get the East Midlands Railway, or LNER, from Sheffield Station, and it's nice. We get first class because it's about a 2 hour for us, and it's nice. We get food, we get drinks, comfy seating, can't complain. One thing I will say though, it gets extremely busy sometimes in St Pancras and King's Cross, like ridiculously busy, like pissing you off busy. We once stayed at a Premier Inn in the borough of Southwark, and right next to us was Borough Market. Now, I didn't get many pictures, we didn't hang around here for too long, but it was just like street food, little market stalls and stuff, and different little tiny pubs. It's quite nice just to see all the different foods and stuff, and you can go and basically experiment, but it was a bit expensive. We saw some fancy artwork near it as well. I think it was like Shakespeare. Now in London, obviously there's many bridges crossing the River Thames, and there's a few famous ones. There's obviously the Tower Bridge, and it looks beautiful. It's huge, and we actually got the pleasure of seeing it open and close, although I'm not sure if we got the full video of it. There's the Waterloo Bridge, the London Bridge, the Millennium Bridge, which is the one from Harry Potter where the Death Eaters like spin around it and twist it and destroy it. And there's many more. There's the Jack the Ripper tour and museum, and we got a tour, and this guy showed us around Whitechapel, which is a pretty dirty area by the way, and pretty much he just pointed out loads of places where women got brutally murdered by Jack the Ripper. And Jack the Ripper, he operated in the 1880s, and his case is still open and unresolved. No one actually knows who he were. But then we went to the museum, and this is in an old Victorian flat converted into this Jack the Ripper museum, and it basically just showed us a bit about him, about his victims. To be honest, the Jack the Ripper museum was more about the police officers who were trying to find him, because obviously they don't know who this guy is, so they can't tie anything to him and they can't put anything of his in a museum. So it was more like the items of the police officers investigating him and bits about the investigation, clues as to who it might be, you know. You'll find a few of these around London, but there are viewing decks, as there are in any big city, and you just go up the tall buildings and have a look from the roof or from a window at the city. And from the skyline, London is a beautiful city, don't get me wrong, it's really great. We took some good pictures. Then we have St Paul's Cathedral. Now, this is probably one of my favourite things in London. It's in the City of London, which I'd say is the nicest borough. It's where all the financial district is. It's very clean. The people are very friendly, and it's just got a good vibe to it. But St Paul's Cathedral, absolutely astonishing from outside. Huge, great architecture, and then obviously the interior as well. The main dome, the big doors. And we found some interesting stuff in there. So there was a baptism font. We also found a replica of the Light of the World painting. We also found these big stairs which you could only get to with a tour, so we were lucky there. And it's a filming location from Harry Potter. I'm pretty sure it's the windy stairs from Hogwarts. Then there were the crypts, which is the underground area, and there was the Duke of Wellington's tomb. There was a gate artwork, like art piece. It was a big gate dedicated to Winston Churchill. And Admiral Horatio Nelson, his tomb was down there as well, but I didn't get a picture of it. Horatio Nelson defeated Napoleon at sea. He defeated the French and Spanish fleets and reclaimed naval supremacy in the English Channel. And Duke of Wellington, he defeated Napoleon's army at the Battle of Waterloo, like a decade later. And that marked the end of the Napoleonic Wars. Then there's 3 different galleries in St Paul's Cathedral, viewing galleries. There's the first one, which is kind of inside. There's a second one, which is higher up, and then a third one is all the way at the top. And this one took over 500 stairs to get to, but it gave us some great pictures. Not any room up there whatsoever. It's just one little ring. And I was very, very nervous holding my phone over the edge, to be honest, because it was a bit windy as well, but still got some good pictures. There's the Tower of London, and I got this picture I really like, with the underground sign and the Tower of London in background. Love that picture. And the Tower of London obviously used to be a prison, where they used to like brutally just torture people and lock people up and chuck away the key. Basically, back in the day, if you got locked up in Tower of London, you were done for. Big building. We didn't actually go inside. You can go inside, but we didn't. Okay, so I've just looked something up. The Tower of London now houses the Beefeaters, which are properly known as yeoman warders, and they live in the Tower of London with their families, and it's basically like a private village, and they've also got their own private pub as well. And these yeoman warders, what they do is they guard the Tower of London, they guard the Crown Jewels, and they also conduct tours and stuff in the Tower of London. And they're also just good community service people, you know, they help out the community in general. But nearby that, and I'm not sure if it's still this particular show, we went to the Gunpowder Plot show. And the Gunpowder Plot is where Guy Fawkes tried killing, I think, King James. And it was due to Catholic-Protestant conflicts. And there was a show which we went to, and it was immersive. It was basically you were in the show. And you know, the guy come out like, oh, come on, guys, come on. You'd have to follow him. And then you'd all get locked in a cage and he's like, come on, we've got to escape. And then they put these VR goggles on us and we saw Tom Felton, but in a VR version. But it was all interactive. The chair was shaking and stuff. It was awesome, to be honest. I've actually got a programme somewhere under here. Here we go. I'll just show you the front cover. There you go. As you can see, that's what we saw. Not sure if it's still that show, but yeah, we're brilliant. There's the London Bridge Experience, which was another kind of walk-through show where you walk through and there's different rooms and then there's different people telling you stuff. They told us a little bit of history about the country and a lot of stuff about how people were executed and stuff, like Guy Fawkes and that. And at the end of it, there were a bit of a horror maze. You know, one of them where you go through, it's all dark and people pop out at you. I'm not sure what that had to do with all the Tower of London stuff, London Bridge stuff. What's funny about them kind of horror dungeons is I go behind someone, so I can literally see them jump out at someone, and then I'm like, I know they're there, you know what I mean? Game's gone. I will just say, before you go into the London Tombs, is what they're called, the scare maze, they do ask you if you want to leave, which I chose to stay, which was a stupid mistake because I was proper scared. I don't know if it were connected to this experience, but we also went to the Slammers Bar, which I believe is like a prison bar. There's some pictures of it here. And it's a prison-themed bar. The staff treat you like shit, but like on purpose. They treat you like prisoners. That sounded a bit terrible. That sounded like I was saying it were a crap experience. I'm not saying they treat you like shit, like as a person. It's just That's the role play. They're role playing prison guards and police officers, and you're meant to be the inmate. There's the HMS Belfast, which is a retired warship, and it's just sitting on the River Thames right now. And you can go into it, have a look inside it, go on the deck, and you're basically in the middle of River Thames. It's a huge ship. It's giant. There's a lot to see in there. It's mainly just like the construction of it and the ship. Honestly, I'm not that interested. I don't want to sound boring, but I'm not really that interested about ships that much. But this particular ship, the HMS Belfast, was commissioned in 1939 on St Patrick's Day, or it might have been 1938. And it served in World War II and the Korean War, so it had a good run. And it played a part in the Cold War as well, and Arctic convoys. Big role in the D-Day landings. Yeah, it's survived a lot, and it's a great attraction. It's a great way to kind of retire it, just have it there for everyone to visit it and see the history. There's the Clink Prison Museum in Southwark. By the way, when I'm talking about central London, I'm specifically on about Southwark, Westminster, City of London, Whitechapel, all these boroughs, and nothing outside of that really. But yeah, the Clink Prison Museum, it showed the history of prisons basically and what they did to prisoners, so obviously torture and stuff. It showed the different devices, like torture devices, like how they held the prisoners, like with chains and the things that put their hands together and stuff. There was some brutal stuff in here, to be honest, which I don't even know if I can show. Well, it's fake, innit? So maybe I could show it. It's like heads on pikes. But yeah, after that we went to a Bierkeller as well, which is like this underground bunker pub, and it were right nice. Right nice food and right nice German beer. Honestly, we got these few beers to try, like proper German beer, and it was just so nice. They were a bit of sweet, a bit of bitter. It was just so nice. I proper need to go to Germany. See about going to Oktoberfest or something. There's the London Eye, which is the big Ferris wheel, and I don't think I've been on it actually, but definitely got a few pictures of it. It looks nice when it's lit up at night as well. That's great. The Houses of Parliament and Big Ben. Obviously everyone knows what Big Ben is, and the building it's attached to is the Houses of Parliament. Obviously one of the most controversial places in the UK. There's Downing Street, the most controversial place in the UK. Obviously, whoever goes in there, basically half the country don't like, or all the country. Mate, put me in Downing Street and I will sort the country out, trust me. New Scotland Yard, where the Metropolitan Police operate out of. And you always see them like doing interviews with it in background as well. Obviously, we're in Westminster now, with the previous things, and there's the Horse Guards Parade, which is where you'll see these famous videos of foreign tourists going in front of the guards on top of the horses, and the horse will just bite them, or they'll get shouted at for touching the horse and stuff like that. That's where we went. I got a picture. I didn't want to get too close to the horse, to be honest. The changing of the guard, which we did actually get to see a little bit of. And it's also for holding events, royal events and stuff like that. And nearby is the Cenotaph. The Cenotaph is the war memorial for World War One and World War Two. It's basically the national memorial for the fallen of this country, for the armed forces. And obviously you'll see on Remembrance Day, if you turn on the news, all the leaders of this country, the government, the military generals and leaders, they all go and pay their respects and put down a wreath. There was the Victoria Embankment Gardens. This had many statues and sculptures for certain things. There was like a colourful top hat I can't remember what that was for exactly. There was a statue as a memorial to the Korean War. There was a statue for this Major General who died during the Siege of Khartoum in Sudan. There were just loads of little statues and stuff. Great place. It'd be nice to walk your dog there and stuff, or just for a little stroll. There's St James's Park, and I don't know what there is to say. It's just a big park. It's got trees, it's got grass, it's got birds, it's got water. Yeah, it's just a park, and we just had a walk around it. If you walk through it, you can get to Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace, obviously, I'm sure everyone knows what this is. It's the big palace for the royals. It serves as like the residence and the administrative hub for them. I don't think King Charles actually lives there at the minute. I think he's living at somewhere called Clarence House. Apparently it's undergoing renovations. Now, you can go inside Buckingham Palace, but we didn't. It were busy enough outside. Trust me, it was absolutely rammed. Could not walk anywhere. But there was a cool memorial. Not a memorial, like a monument outside of it. And nearby there was the Carlton House terraces. These are bigger than Buckingham Palace, and apparently they serve as like private residences, Royal Navy engineering or something like that as well. And then nearby as well there was a column, a Duke of York column, and that was cool. Trafalgar Square, a huge plaza, and it's named Trafalgar Square after the victory at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, when we defeated the French and Spanish fleets, obviously thanks to Lord Horatio Nelson, which we spoke about earlier. And it's great. There's a column for Admiral Nelson, and they have four big podiums for artworks. They change them around every year, I think. And there was some cool stuff. I don't know what were there when we went, but there's also the National Gallery. We didn't go inside that, but big grand building, looks cool. Then there's London's West End, which is Leicester Square, Piccadilly Circus. I'll pick out a few things. There were a lot of monuments, advertisements, like vibrant advertisements. In Leicester Square there's these statues. I didn't get any pictures of them, but there were one of like Harry Potter, one of Paddington, and in this area near Piccadilly Circus is where all the theatres are, the West End. There's stuff like Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Matilda, Les Miserables, and there's Chinatown as well. That were pretty cool. Chinatown with Dutch flags. Don't know what's going on there. There's the British Museum, which honestly was a bit of a mix of British and just world history. Probably a lot of this came from the British Empire. There was stuff to do with Egypt. The Rosetta Stone was very important in deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs. There was stuff to do with the Assyrian Empire. A complete helmet from the Anglo-Saxon era of England, which is just one of four apparently. There's old, gold, what do you call it, like pottery and cutlery and jewellery and stuff. There was stuff to do with Greece, just all sorts of world history. The building itself is great, huge, looks great from the outside, good picture there. And in the inside it's massive as well. The big thing in the middle is a big library, which I took a little panoramic video of. And honestly, there's just so much stuff that we didn't really get round everything. We had to go on a little tour to know what we were doing. But yeah, if you were actually looking to go there and look at everything, you would be there for hours. There's Westminster Abbey, which is another famous building in London. It's got, royal ceremonies and stuff happen there. It's also just a normal place of worship. Obviously, these famous churches and cathedrals and stuff will just be regular places, someone's local church, someone's local place of worship as well. But yeah, very famous building. We didn't go inside it because we didn't have time. but that'd be something good to do next time. Now I'm going to talk about the Imperial War Museum. Obviously, IWM is a chain of different museums across the country. I'm going to scroll through some of this. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to show on YouTube. I'm pretty new to this, but it's all in an educational context anyway. There's a piece of the Berlin Wall which separated the Western controlled West Germany and the Soviet controlled East Germany. It stopped people from getting out. There's obviously jets and vehicles and stuff like that. Big rockets and missiles and bombs. There's the remains of a car. Not much there. Not much left of that. There's the history of weapons and stuff. Melee weapons and guns, obviously. There was a little bunker. Stuff about World War II, like the British side of it, and also stuff about the Nazis as well. And of course, there's the Reichstag Eagle, I think it is. Let's have a look. The Reich Chancellery Eagle from the top of the building, battle damaged Nazi eagle. Nuclear bombs, which, you know, seems cool. I'm sure it's like deactivated, or I would hope so anyway. Imagine that setting off and killing everyone. Got a little collage of Saddam Hussein. Some vehicles, again, like tanks and stuff. Got a poster of Tony Blair there. Make tea, not war. Pretty cool saying. There's also some like parody pictures. I'll just put them on screen. There was a TV press truck which was shot up in Palestine. And finally, I just wanted to talk about a few extra things. So there were artworks around London, big murals and walls painted. We saw like a pink McLaren outside of St Pancras. Stuff like the Globe Theatre as well, you know, Shakespeare's theatre. There was the building for the Leaky Cauldron in Harry Potter, so I had a picture in front of that. There was a right nice restaurant in the London docks. It were proper nice food. It'd be a nice place just to go for a drink and all, well, if pints weren't right expensive. I'm going to wrap up the video there, but in conclusion, yes, central London is brilliant. There's much stuff to do. You're probably going to have to spend like at least a few days there to cover everything. Despite what people say about London, it was genuinely safe, to be honest, in the centre anyway. We stayed to all the touristy bits and had no problems. And yeah, I hope that helps everyone out. If you're considering going to London, yeah, go ahead. And that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. From now on, I'm going to start trying to actually vlog in person at certain places, maybe York, Sheffield, Leeds, Manchester. I'll see what's interesting. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. See you later.